Okay. Hi, I'm Allan Roth. This is class number 5 of Painless Music Theory for Ukes. Today is July 1st, 2024, and it's 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Okay, now David is here with us, and maybe we'll have some. Oh, I think somebody else is joining us. Good. Let's see who else it is. Oh, Kathy. Okay, good. She's not in yet. She she's still muted, but I think she should be joining us on the video. So okay, good. So I think she's been watching the videos, so she's up with us in that regard. Maybe okay. So now, did you have any questions as far as the class last week? I don't particularly care for the way the material is presented in the book. I think it's confusingly presented, and I hope I'm presenting it more communicatively than the book does. But I like the book for its charts. I like the book for its organization and that type of thing. But as far as what we did, Dave, last week, building the C scale, we also built the D major scale, and we talked about major and minor chords within the D major scale. And I know in D major, we didn't apply those to the ukulele. But we'll do that today. But did you have any questions about what we did in the class last week?
Well, no, like I say, I reviewed the chapter 6, and I tried to get this in my mind about the whole step. He confuses me in terms of using the term tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And then other times it's step, step, half step, 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 half step.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm trying to keep that in my mind. And when he was discussing these things, I had to write them down in the book, like to figure out the F major scale. So
okay.
I've been able, like I say, I've been able to slug through it that way, but it's hard for me to retain all of that.
Okay. Well, again, first of all, you don't have to retain it because you can always reproduce it. I mean, a lot of the stuff I don't retain, but when I need it, I put it back together again. I do the scales and so on. And Dave, he's British, and in Europe they use tone and semitone. We use step and half step.
Okay.
So, synonymous. Half step is a semitone. A whole step is a tone, a whole tone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
We also said that the half step is a minor second and a whole step is a major second. So this is one of those cases where there's more than one name for, the same thing in music. Now, Kathy has joined us. Good to see you, Kathy. Missed you last week, but I hope you got to see the video. Did you? Did you get to see the video last week? Good. Okay. If you have any questions, do you have any questions about anything in the video or anything that we've done before? If so, you can unmute yourself and I'll address them. Okay. Oh, you're good? Okay. Now, last week, we ended the class building the D major scale. And Dave, what we did, and Kathy, was we took, actually, let's get back into that again, because I'm going to show you what we did last week. Let's see. Okay, here is, let's see. Okay. Okay, here was the D major scale. And as review, what we did was, because the D major scale has got some sharps and flats, C major doesn't, but we started getting into with sharps and flats. And Dave, you correctly, either you or Kathy can tell me about where the whole steps and half steps go. I'll give you the first one. We start with the D. Oh, wait, let me get the pencil out. Okay. So we start with a D, and then D to E. What kind of interval is that? Whole step or half step?
It's a whole step.
I agree. E to F.
That's a half step.
No, wait a second. No, we're building the scale. E to F is a half step, but what do we want the scale to be, Dave? We don't want it to be a half step there, do we? Start.
Oh, we need a whole step, so it's F sharp.
Right. And you remember how we made that a whole step between E and some kind of an F? What do we do to the F to make it a whole step?
It's got to be a sharp.
You got it right last week. I agree.
F sharp. F sharp.
Okay, right. Okay, Kathy, you good? If you're not good with that, unmute yourself and come in, okay? Let me see if I can. Oh, okay, I got you too. Okay. Okay, Kathy, you good with that? You see what we did there to build the D major scale? We need start, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So we're going to put the rest of the intervals in there. We wanted a half step between, I'm sorry, a whole step between E and whatever we're going to do to the F. And Dave correctly said we have to make that F sharp because E to F sharp is a whole step, correct?
Right.
Now, we want a half step between F sharp and G. Is that a half step or do we have to do something to the G? Do you know, Kathy? Between F sharp and G, is that a half step? You have to do something to the G to make it a half step.
Sharp to G would be a half step.
I agree. That's what we want, isn't it?
Yes.
Start, whole step, half step. Now, Kathy, can you finish the rest of that scale just with the intervals, whole steps and half steps? Where do the whole steps go and where do the half steps go for the rest of any major scale? Start, whole step, Where do we go from here? Do you know?
It's 3 more wholes and then a half.
I agree. Whole, and a half. Okay. Now, can you see me now? You see, you can see me, and you also see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, you do good. You can all see me because I'm going to show some things on the ukulele when we get to that. But right now, we're building the D major scale. Okay, so okay, we can take terms. Dave, between G and A, whole step or half step?
G and A, it's a whole step.
I agree. Kathy, between A and B, whole step or half step?
Whole.
I agree. Dave, between B and C, whole step or half step?
It's a whole step.
It is? Between B and C? We want it to be a whole step, but is it a whole step on the piano, say? Or
no,
on the ukulele?
It's a half step. Then.
I agree. What do we have to do to the C to make it a whole step?
The C sharp.
I agree. Okay, Kathy, you see that?
Yep.
There you have the D major scale. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And the last thing I did last week was play that scale, and you'll hear that as far as the intervals are concerned, it sounds just like the C scale, except it's up one step. So let me play that scale for you. So, okay, D, E, whole step up to F sharp, half step down to G, whole step up to A, whole step up to B, whole step up to C sharp, and then a half step C sharp to D. Okay, good so far? Okay. Now, and I think that's as far as we got in the D major scale, Dave, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And Kathy, you watched it, so yeah, you saw that. Now, what I want to do is to identify the major chords and the minor chords in the key of D major. Now, in major scales, both of you, you have the same. Now, you know that one of the things that we do in order to be able to talk about different keys without having to talk about letter names and that type of thing is to number the degrees of the scale. So D would be in the D major scale, D would be 1, Roman numeral 1, E would be 2, and we usually use Roman numerals. F would be 3, G is 4, I, V, A is 5, B is 6, C is 7, and then D, we start over with 1 or 8, okay? Now, and we refer in the key of D to the 1 chord and that would be D major. We would refer to the 4 chord, and that would be a G. A 5 chord would be an A, and so on. You see, so we can refer to the numbers of chords. Now, one of the nice things about music and music theory is in every major scale, within that scale, you have the same 3 chords that are major chords. Okay, Kathy, can you name one of the 3 major chords in the key, in any key, the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? What are, do you know what the one of the 3 major chords is? Unmute yourself.
D.
D, okay, which we would say the 1 chord is D, and that's one of the major chords. I agree with you. Dave, do you know another one of the major chords in every key? And give me the number, and then we can say what letter name it is. What's another major chord in a major scale?
3.
Try
1,
again.
3, and 5.
No. What you did right there was you spelled out a triad. 1, 3, 5 would be a triad.
1, 4, 5.
Kathy, what did you say?
Is it 1, 4, 5?
Bingo. Yes. 1, 4, and 5 are the major chords in the key in every major key. So here is the 1 chord in D major. Oh, let me turn it on. Okay, you ready? Here's the 4 chord, the G chord. And here is the 5 chord. Okay. Okay, so those are the 3 major chords in every major scale, all 12 major scales. Okay, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, every one of those 3 chords within that scale are the major chords. So we talked last week about the concept of relative minor, and I want you to understand that concept. It's a little esoteric, but it's something you kind of have to memorize. Now, do you folks understand the difference between a major third and a minor third as far as how many half steps that is? If not, review it.
The 3rd note is flatted, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. The 3rd note is flatted, but see, that's kind of misleading because, and again, I don't like that idea. I want you to understand major and minor thirds and major and minor chords in terms of how many half steps there are in that chord. So let's ask you that. Do you know how many half steps there are in a minor third and in a major third?
I can't answer that.
Kathy, do you know?
Is there 3 in a major?
Okay, let's count it out. Here's a C, half step to D sharp, C sharp, half step to D. That's 1, 2. E flat is another half step. E natural is 4 half steps. So there are 4 half steps in a major third. Okay.
Half steps. Okay.
4 half steps in a major third, or 2 whole steps. 4 half steps or 2 whole steps. Okay. And you hear what that sounds like? Okay. Now, a minor third is a little bit smaller than a major third. So by the process of elimination, how many half steps would there be in a minor third?
I'm getting lost, Alan. Is there anywhere in the book that I can refer?
No. Unfortunately, I think it's a real omission in the book. He does not talk about intervals, and intervals is the name of the game. Music is intervals, and I think he's trying. I think he's trying to dumb it down because he thinks that ukulele players don't really want to know about these theory fundamentals. And so that's something I don't like about the book, but I haven't found one that presents the material any better. So that's why I'm stressing these in class. Okay, Kathy, do you know how many half steps there are in a minor third? Just a few, just a little bit less. Okay, David. Kathy, do you want to, why don't you unmute yourself? Okay, Dave, there's 4 half steps in a major third, and a minor third is just a little smaller than a major third. So what would be a little smaller than 4 half steps?
4 steps in a major.
In a major third. 4 half steps. 4 half steps in a major third. 2 whole steps.
4 steps in a major third.
Right.
I just wrote that down, but I can't make any sense of it yet.
Well, okay, you understand what a half step is. It's going to the very next note, black or white. That's right. 1 step, 2 half steps, 3 half steps, 4 half steps. So this is a major third. This would be a minor third. Okay, that's 1 half step less than a major third. So there's, right, 3 half steps in a minor third. And that's important because a major triad is a major third on the bottom and a minor third on top. That's a major third. That's a minor third. That's a major triad. A minor triad is just the upside down of that. It's a minor third on the bottom, 3 half steps, and a major third on top. And this is what it sounds like. Major triad, minor triad. Okay, you see, you change a major triad to a minor triad, as you said, Dave, by flatting the third. But that's confusing because if you're in another key, then maybe it's a sharp and it doesn't turn out to be flatting that letter name. What you're doing is removing the sharp from the letter name, which has the effect of flatting. You see what I mean? So that's why I don't want you to just think flat the third. I want you to know it's a minor third on the bottom of a triad for a minor triad, and a major third on the bottom for a major triad. So not only do you have to understand that theoretically, and that's where the theory comes in, but you also have to be able to recognize that. Okay, and that's part of the class, and that's part of what I want you to do, and that's why I want you to do that musictheory.net app, is to practice, to get the chance during the week or 2 weeks, between classes, to practice so that you get in your head what a minor third sounds like, what a major third sounds like, what a minor triad sounds like, and a major third triad sounds like. Now, it may be when have you used that musictheory.net, Dave?
No.
Okay, Kathy, have you used it? Okay, do you find it helps you? I mean, maybe you'll make some mistakes, but when you make a mistake, you instantly find out whether or not you made that mistake. Are you getting a little better at it as you do it more?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, it's so much to take in.
Well, the nice thing about that app, though, is you can go as slowly or as quickly as you want to. Let's say that you don't want to mess with triads, you just want to mess with thirds. Well, you can put in major third and minor third in that app, and that's all you'll get. is major thirds and minor thirds. And so when you get that down and you're confident with that and you get most of them right in that, then you can add in triads, add in major triads and minor triads and major thirds and minor thirds. Okay. You see what I mean? And again, if you're doing that sometime at home and you're having trouble or you don't know how to do that, give me a call and I can walk you through it. I don't want to do it in the class now, but I'll be happy to walk you through it. And same thing with you, Dave. Okay. If you don't want to take, have you tried the app?
No, I haven't. I'm getting totally lost right now, but I'll listen in to what you're saying and maybe review one of your previous lessons.
Okay. Well, right now we're doing some of the same thing that we did in the previous lesson in the key of C major, but now we're going to do it in D major. So we see how that works in a key with some sharps. And then after that, we're going to go to a key with some flats. And we're going to see how it works with flats. But regardless of the key, those major chords in every major key, all 12, are 1, 4, and 5. Now, the letter names will change depending on what key you're in. If you're in the key of G, 1 would be G, 4 would be C, 5 would be D. If you're in the key of A, 1 would be A, 4 would be D. 5, you see what I mean? The letter names are going to change. But if you know 1, 4, 5, then you can easily figure out what it is in any one of the 12 keys. And you don't even have to have the sharps and flats in those keys memorized, because with this start, whole step, half step, you're learning how to build the scale for that key. If you don't have any books, all you got is a piece of paper and a pencil, you can put this together and you can do all this. That's what we're trying to do in the class. Okay. So we've already said that what are the 3 major chords in the key of D major?
1, 4, and 5. So
Bingo.
D, G, and B.
D, G, and A.
A.
Yeah, okay. Now, the last lesson, we talked about the concept of relative minor, and you might want to write this down, okay? Because I don't think that Shipway talks about it in his book, and it's very important. And it's really helpful with the ukulele too. The relative, that word relative is important because there's another kind of minor relationship between 2 notes. But the relative minor of any major third and major triad is a minor third below that root note of that triad. For example, in the case of D major, that triad would be D, F sharp, A, which is a major triad, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The relative minor of that would be a minor third below D. So if you look at our diagram here, the minor third is what? It's a whole step and a half step. It's 3 half steps. So you go D, C, B. B minor is the relative minor triad and the relative minor third of D major. And you'll see why that's important in a second. Okay?
Not clear, but go ahead.
Well, okay. See, Dave, you just go down a minor third. So you count down 3, but you make that a minor third. Okay. And you do it in the scale. And so it's going to turn, if you've got all your sharps and flats in the right place, like we do here, it'll turn out automatically. Go down D, C, B, and if you're going down from A is a major chord. What's the relative minor? A, G, F sharp. You see? Minor third down. G is a major chord in the key of D major. Going down a minor third from there, G, F sharp, E. G to E is a minor third. So you're going down a minor third. Now, why is that important?
Go ahead.
What don't you get?
Uh, I hate this. I'm missing the whole picture here. I
Okay.
just,
Okay, I just want you to think of this as a definition. I mean, words have got definitions and relationships have definitions. Father, mother, sister, that's a relationship. Well, this is a musical relationship between notes in the major scale. If you go down a minor third, that's an interval, okay? And you know what that interval is. It's 3 half steps or a whole step and a half step. So if you go down a minor third in the scale, like going from D to B, is a minor third. If you go down a minor third, the chord and that note is the relative minor of a D major chord and of a D major third, a major third on D. You got to just remember that. The definition of the relative minor of a major chord is the note on this note a minor third below where the major chord is.
oh boy,
Okay.
I'm not catching. Go
Well,
ahead.
just think about it, Dave. Just figure it out. You know where the 3 major chords are in the key of D. If you go down a minor third, then that gives you the relative minor of that major chord. Okay. Now, here's why it's important. If you know the 3 major chords in any major scale, and you know that definition of the relative minor, and you go down that relative minor, that gives you the 3 minor chords in that scale. What do I mean by that? G is a major chord in the key of D, correct? Okay, go down a minor third from there and you get E. E is one of the 3 minor chords in the key of D. You take a major chord, go down a minor third, and that gives you the relative minor, and that gives you one of the 3 minor chords. Now, A is another major chord in the key of D, is it not? We said that. If you go down a relative minor for that, where do you wind up? On F sharp. The chord you build on F sharp, A, C sharp is a minor chord. Here it is. Oh, let me turn on my thing. Hear that? So this is A. So going down a minor third from A takes you to F sharp. And the chord that you build in the key of D on an F sharp is one of the 3 minor chords in the key of D.
Boy, oh boy.
Okay, now, what's the last minor chord? We said D is a major chord. G is a major chord. What's the last major chord in the key of D?
5.
5, which is what letter?
It's the A.
Correct. What note, Dave, is a minor third down from A in the key of D major? You've got your sharps and flats there. Just count.
So that would be F sharp.
Right. So, and that's what we just did. Here's the A major chord. Here's the F sharp minor chord. Okay, so that gives you all 6 of those chords, all the major chords, 1, 4, and 5, all the minor chords, 2, 3, and 6. And the chord on the 7th degree of any major scale is called a diminished chord. And we'll talk about diminished chords maybe in 2 or 3 lessons and how they work and what you do with them and so on. They're very interesting. As a matter of fact, they're a lot of fun. And they used to be considered sort of devilish chords because they're so scary. Yeah. Wait a second. Those are diminished chords. but they have a very specific purpose, and they're also used for drama and that type of thing. But we'll get into them later. Let's not confuse things. But anyway, so you see, we've got the 6 chords, and if you know those 6 chords in a key, then you can play songs in that key. So in other words, let's say that you're playing along with somebody and you're in the key of G, and they say, oh, that's a little high. Can we take that down to D? Well, if you know 1, 4, and 5 are major chords in the key of D, which are D, G, and A, and you know that 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords, and that would be E, F sharp, and B. No, not B, E, F sharp, and yeah, B, E, F sharp. It is B. I could E, F sharp, and B. Then you can play along with that in the key of D. So again, I think that you probably know most of those chords in the key of D, but let's talk about them, and let's look at those chords, okay? We did that for the key of C. We went through all 7 or all 6 of those chords in the key of C, but let's see how they look in the key of D. So let's see, I'm going to, I think I can move this. I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. Okay. So D major chord is no biggie. Okay, here's a uke, G, C, E, A. And we know that for a D major chord, we need a D. So here are the frets, C. Okay, so C, we want a D natural. So this would be C, the first fret would be C sharp, and then you would have a D right here, correct? Okay, so we have the D taken care of. Now, we need an F sharp, so it would make sense. The E, and then 1 fret up from the E would be an F, and this would be an F sharp. Okay, and then we want an A. Now, one fret up from G would be an A. And here you've got an A string here, so you've got A doubled right there. And so what that would look like, let me get the picture. Okay, what that would look like, the D chord is right here. Here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, so in other words, I'm on the 2nd fret on string number 4, on the 2nd fret on string number 3, and on the 2nd fret on string number 2. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the D major, correct?
Okay, right.
Okay, now I'm sure everybody knows this is the C major chord, isn't it?
Right.
Well, look what you can do. Instead of playing the D major chord like this and taking 3 fingers, you can do it with only 3 fingers. If you bar this right here and you use your pinky down here, you see I'm barring that chord, and that's a D major chord.
Okay.
Now,
you're picking up your C sharp there. Okay.
Well, no, we're playing the D major chord, so we're not. But and you see, you got a C here.
Right.
And so if you bring it up 1 fret, it's a C sharp, and you bring it up 2 frets, it's a D major. Okay, Dave, you see that, don't you? Okay, and the benefit of doing barred chords, even though they're a little harder, but the benefit of it is you can do them all the way up and down the fretboard. You see that? You can do them anywhere. And if somebody wants to change keys and they want to go up a 3rd and you don't have a capo, it'd be nice if you had a capo. So here's a capo right here. So I can put this capo on and I can cheat and play everything in the key of C. But if you don't have a capo, you got to be able to play in the key if you want to play with these people. And you can do it if you can bar the chord. You can just go up and down the fretboard. So this is a D. Okay, now, what would be the relative minor?
Allan?
Yeah.
Was that the 5th fret that you had on the A string that you had your little
One,
finger
two.
on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because if you count up A, B, C, D. Okay, you see?
Okay.
So you can just count up by half steps. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. Yes. Now, obviously, if you're in the middle of a gig, you know, you can't sit and count frets and so on. But if you know this is C and you know that this is acting like your nut up here, your finger, you got that right there. Okay. Now, the next question is, what would the relative minor chord for of a D major be? Remember, down a minor third?
2, 3, and 6.
You're right, 6. So what's 6, Dave?
What is 6?
In the key of D.
B.
B minor. Okay, so here's a C, here's a D major, and here would be a B minor. You see that? That's the relative minor. Now, do you remember back in the key of C where you played C to A minor? That's how you do your C like this, and then you do your A minor like this. Can you see that? C, A minor. Well, in the relative and A minor is the relative minor of C major. Well, it's the same thing in the key of D. Here's your D chord and the B minor. Let's see. C. I'm out by half step. You see that? All you have to do. So all you have to do is just change that one note to get the relative minor. Okay. So far we've got D major and B minor. Now let's take a look. What's the next major chord in the key of D? The 4 chord, which is what? What chord? What's the 4 chord in D?
G.
Correct, G major. And this is a G major, correct? You see that? So in other words, 2nd fret on the A string, 2nd fret. Well, here, I'll draw it up. Okay, G major, the keys, the notes in G major are G, B, and D, correct? We've got a G right here, so we can leave that an open string. We need a B, so A, if we play a B on the A string, that would be A sharp, B would be right here, correct? Okay, on the E string, we need a G on the E string. So E, this would be F sharp, G would be right here on the E string. And on the C string, we need a D. So we go C, C sharp, D. And there is your D major chord. And I'm sure I'm sorry, G major chord. You recognize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and here's that G major chord on the uke. Okay, finger 1, 2, 3. Oops, messed it up. Here we go. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, and you know what an E minor chord is. You can play an E minor from a G chord simply by taking your pinky and putting up there and making that an E instead of a D. So what you're doing here on the you're taking this note here, which is a D, and you're going to move that note up to, up to, so that was a D, D sharp E. And that is the classic E minor chord in the key of D, isn't it? So it's right here. I'll show you. So here's your G chord, and the relative minor of G is E minor, and you see you change the one note there. Okay, so now let me show you something else. Okay, we said this is a G chord here.
Right.
Correct. Okay, now do you know what chord this is on the uke?
F chord.
What is it?
That the F.
F, correct. Okay, so F, but if you go up a half step, that's an F sharp, and you go up another half step, what note is that? What chord is that? 2 half steps up from F, F.
I don't know.
Well, figure it out. F, half step up is F sharp. What comes after F sharp, Dave?
F sharp G.
Right, and here's a G chord. You see, all you've done, this is this G chord here with the open string. But if you play the G chord like the F chord, except you use your finger as the bar, you've got another chord that you can play all the way up and down the ukulele. Just like you play this chord all the way up and down. The C chord. So you can play that G chord all the way up and down.
You're getting your pinky finger on the 4th fret of the G string.
Let's see. I'm using my 4th finger on the 4th fret, Dave. My 3rd finger, my ring finger.
Okay, and you're barring everything on the 2nd fret.
I'm barring on the 2nd fret, correct, and then I'm using my 2nd finger, my middle finger, on the 3rd fret.
Okay.
Now, I'll show you something else you can do with that, which I use all the time, and I really like it. You can take your pinky, talking about your pinky, and put it on this right here. So you get a different sound. So and it may be, and again, this will be more advanced, but it may be that you're playing chords, but while you're playing the chords, you want to play a melody on your A string, okay? So you want the chord position so that the melody note that you want to play comes out on the A string. So here, if you play right there, you've got a B on the A string, you see? But now I've got a straight tuned uke, so I have 2 B's. I've got a B down here and then an octave B up there. But let's say that the melody that you're trying to play has got a D instead of a B. If you put your finger here, that'll give it. So you can play the melody there by using this position of the G chord and adding that note there. But again, that'll come down the road where we move these chords, and some of them you'll play down here because there might be a high note there where you want to use one of these high strings here in the chord, but we'll talk about that later. But I just want to give you an idea of what you have available if you can do that barring. And again, that takes a little bit of practice, and you have to build up the strength in your left hand to be able to do it. But just take it easy. Your hand will get tired, but if you do it enough, you'll be able to play whole songs barring everything you're doing. When I play Ain't She Sweet, a solo, let's see. I'm barring everything that I do there, but I built up the strength in my hand to be able to do that. And it took me a while to do that because I hadn't played the uke for about 40 years. And so I had to build up the strength in my hand again to be able to do it. But it'll come. But if you do a little bit of that and get used to that feeling and strengthen your hand a little bit, then you'll be able to do it too. The other thing is, and again, let me just give you this, don't over press more than you need to get simple chords. In other words, some people, when they're playing a C chord, they just press the heck out of that little pinky in their thumb. And then when they're playing the F chord, oh, they just press like mad. Don't use any more pressure than you need to get the note to ring. And you usually don't need much pressure unless you're doing something like, where a B flat chord, you need a little more pressure because you're pressing down all four strings. But don't waste energy by pressing when you don't need to press. Save that for when you need to. Just a little tip there. Okay, so we've got the E minor chord, correct? We've gone from G to E minor. So we've taken care of B minor and we've taken care of E minor on the uke, right? And so now all we need is F sharp minor. Okay. And now this is fun also. Here is your A major chord, correct? Simple chord. All you need is two fingers to play that A major chord right there, correct?
Right.
Now, the A major chord is spelled A C sharp E, correct? A C sharp E is the A major chord. And here it is. Here I'll do that on the fretboard. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so very simply, you want an E and an A, so your E and your A are open strings because your A major chord is A C sharp. So you want a C sharp, not a C. So here's your C sharp, and you don't want G, you want an A. So there's your A major chord, right? And it looks like this. You are on the C chord, you're playing a C sharp, one fret up on the C note, and on the G, you're playing G C E. Yeah, you're G C. Oh, you're playing an A. You're playing an A. You're playing an A on the G string. You see, so right. You got A C sharp E A. Now, are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what notes do you want for an F sharp minor chord? That's the relative minor of A major. What you want is F sharp, A, C sharp, correct?
Say that again. A.
For an F sharp minor chord, Dave, you want an F sharp.
This is where we do 1, 3, and 6.
Right. 1, 3, and 5. Well, no, we're making a triad, an F sharp minor triad, and so we're going F sharp, A, C sharp. Correct for the F sharp minor triad. You good with that?
Ooh, I wish I could grab this.
Remember, when we make a triad, what we're doing is putting 2/3 together. F sharp to A, is a minor third, and A to C sharp is a major third. And a minor triad has a minor third on the bottom and a major third on top. F sharp to A is a minor third. Okay, you see those three notes?
No, I'm missing the picture here. Go ahead.
Or do you have the well, don't you have the D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D on your screen? So do you have those letters on your screen?
I'm getting lost here, Alan. I've got the A. I followed you with the A and
Yeah.
C. But now I'm lost on the minor business there. I
Well,
thought
okay.
it was
You said
2, 3, and
again,
6.
that definition of the relative minor is the minor third below your note. We're looking for the minor third below A, which is F sharp. So we want to build a triad on F sharp. So you have a third F sharp to A and another third A to C sharp. F sharp to A is a minor third. There's one half step and one whole step. A to C sharp is a major third. And that's the definition of a minor triad. Minor third on the bottom, major third on top. And I just want to translate that to the ukulele. But before we do that, are you good with the F sharp minor chord, Dave?
F sharp minor chord, no. I know the F chord, but the F sharp minor, no.
Well, F sharp minor is F sharp A is a minor third. It's one half step and one whole step on our diagram there, right?
I'm getting lost on the diagram now too, so I'm sorry, Alan.
Well, look at the F sharp. F sharp
Okay.
is a whole step. I'm sorry, is a half step. F sharp to G is a half step. G to A is a whole step. That's 3 half steps. That's the definition of a minor third, 3 half steps. So we have a minor third on the bottom, and then we have 2 whole steps or 4 half steps between A and C sharp. That's a major third on top. And that's how we define a minor triad. Minor third on the bottom, major third on top.
Oh, boy.
Okay, think
Okay.
about that. Think about that. I think you got it last week. We did this in the key of C, and the only thing that's different is we have some sharps on some of the notes. Kathy, are you good with this? The F sharp minor chord? Are we good? Or do you have a question also?
I understand how you did that.
Okay, well, let me show you how you do this on the uke. It's almost trivial. It's so easy. Look.
Yeah, that's where I might be confused.
Okay, now the notes in an F sharp minor chord are F sharp, A, and C sharp, correct?
Okay.
Okay, now on the G string, we have an A, so we're good in that respect, correct? It's already there. You see that on our picture? Okay, on the C string, we have a C sharp, so we've got our C sharp there. We don't have to do anything there, correct?
Right.
Okay, on the A string, it's an open string, and we want an A, and so we got our A there, correct?
Yes.
Now, on the E string, there's no E in an F sharp minor chord. But there is an F sharp. So if we go E, F, F sharp, all we have to do is add that note to get our F sharp minor chord. So here's our A major chord right here. If we take our ring finger and put it, voila, there's the F sharp minor. You got it, Dave. I hear it. You got to adjust your hand so it rings. But you got
that's F sharp major,
F sharp minor.
minor.
Yeah. Okay. Now So what we did using those relative minors, first of all, we remembered that the major keys, major chords in any major scale, all 12, are the 1, 4, and 5 chords. The minor chords are a third down from that, which makes it what? The 2, 3, and 6 chords. And then, and there you got it. That's it. That's all the chords that you need because, and again, we'll get into diminished chords later, but you don't really even need to know how to do diminished chords because there's other chords you can do in place of those that are perfectly enharmonic with what you want to do. So we won't complicate it with a diminished chord. C sharp would be a diminished chord, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later. Okay. But the point is that you can build all the chords if you know the major chords, and then you can just make a slight change to get the relative minor chord, and that gives you all 6 chords in any major key.
Relative. I didn't quite follow you how you, I know I followed you with the 1, 4, and 5.
Yeah,
And then you said to get the minor relative, you go down three steps or 3 half steps. I missed
steps. 3 half steps, yes.
Three half steps to get 2, 3, and 5.
Right. 2, 3, and 6. 2, 3, and
3,
6.
5, and 6. Yes.
No, 2, 3, and 6.
2, 3, and 6. Okay.
Yeah. And that 3 half steps, Dave, is a minor third.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
But again, we're when we get down, we've got other kinds of. We said that's a relative minor. There's another kind of minor, but I don't want to confuse things with talking about the other kind of minor. When we're ready for that, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Like I said,
okay.
I told you I went to a class yesterday. Well, I think that they did a whole semester of ukulele music theory in an hour. And
oh my gosh,
following him, and I could see that the students in that class they were glazed over. They had no idea what he's talking about. I'm trying to take it nice and slowly, one step at a time, so that we all understand it and we all know how to build these things, and then we know how to do it on paper, which is all good, but we want to do it on the ukulele. And so after we do it on paper, I'm trying to translate it to the ukulele and do it in the simplest fashion with as many open strings as we can, because we'll make it more complicated. But I just want to show you how using that second finger as a bar will really help you in more sophisticated stuff, and also in doing chord solos on the ukulele where you're playing a melody but playing chords, which Jake Shimabukuro does a lot of that, and other very, very good ukulele players do. I'm not that great. I do a little bit of that, not as much as I would like, but I'm trying to get more into that. But and to help you be able to do that too, because I'll teach you building the chords up the fretboard, which is really where you get a lot of fun. I'll just show you. I've got this wonderful book.
Ukulele chord trick.
Have you seen this?
I haven't seen one, no. But
this is by Alfred Music, and they have for every single note of the 12 notes they have. I'll tell you what they have. They have the major chord, the plain major chord, but you'll notice they have it 4 or 5 places on the fretboard.
Oh,
and right next to it, they have the minor chord, that like C major and C minor. And then they have a C diminished chord. So they have major, minor, and diminished. See, they assume you know what to do with the diminished and how to do it, but they have 4 or 5 different ways to play the C diminished chord. And then they go to a C augmented chord on the next page. and so on. And all these chords are fun chords, but if you know the basic chord, major and minor, you can build all these other things, because all these are slight variations. And as we progress down, we'll learn all these variations. But first, you got to learn the building blocks, and then we'll sort of carve away at the blocks and do interesting things with them and build interesting things. But again, I want to take it slowly, because I don't want to leave anybody behind. And Dave, I think if you listen to the video again, play the videos. Have you played some of those old videos where you weren't getting the audio because of the computer problem?
Yes, I listened to your first lesson, so I have to go back and try and get some of the others under my belt too.
Okay, because again, all this stuff that we're doing today is stuff that we've done before with, we talked about relative minor before, but again, sometimes you have to reinforce it, and I understand that. So, okay, it's a few minutes after 8 now. So any questions before we depart for a couple of weeks?
Well, I thank you, Allan. I'll just have to do some more review work on some of the older lessons, and hopefully I can have some intelligent questions to ask you next time.
Okay, but again, if there's something you don't understand while you're watching the video, I've got all the videos on my YouTube also. So you can say, hey, in video number 2, you said this. What were you talking about there? And call. Do you have my phone number?
I think I do, but I'll take it again just in case.
Okay. Okay, Kathy, you can take it down too. 614
614
252
252
6633.
6633.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Okay.
if you get voicemail, leave a message. And I think in the original notice, they also have my email there. And so if you can email me, and we can, make a time when we can talk, or Zoom, just do a private Zoom and so on. So please don't hesitate to call. I'd rather have you call instead of waiting 2 weeks to get the answer to some simple question that would help you understand a lot of other things. Okay, Kathy,
Well, that's nice. That's nice of you, Allan. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your sitting through this. And I know, especially if it's new to you, it's pretty tricky. But again, I want you to understand it, and I want you to see the building blocks and how these things are put together, because I think he short shrifts that a little bit in the book. He gives you a lot of information and some shortcuts and so on, but you understand how or why the shortcuts work. And I want to show you the theory behind the shortcuts. Okay.
Very good.
Kathy, nice seeing you again. And whatever 2 weeks from today is when we'll have our next lesson. And I hope you folks have a safe and sane 4th and good weekend. And stay cool, and that you don't get too much rain.
Okay, stay safe, Allan. Stay safe.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.